Hey, everybody.
Hi.
How you doing? Let's see. We have quite a few things to talk about today. We'll wait a couple minutes just to let people join before we get going. I also am testing out streaming to a couple more platforms. I think the comments will show up to us from all of the pages. I upgraded our software, but if for some reason you're commenting on your location and you're not seeing us respond or seeing us notice your comments, it may be that you need to head over to the White Wizard Games Facebook page and post, but let us know separately off of the stream if for some reason we're not seeing your comments, because we're testing it out.
Testing the technology.
Yes. So one thing I wanted to mention was yesterday the White Wizard Games newsletter went out. We try to do these monthly, and if you're not getting them, I'd love to have you on my marketing list. Love to have everyone on there. So you can go to whitewizardgames.com, and at the bottom of the page, you can subscribe to our mailing list. If you've opted in, in any way, shape, or form, like on a Kickstarter or when we run a marketing promotion, then you are likely on our list. I wanted to touch on a couple of things we covered in the newsletter in case you hadn't seen it. We talked about that we've unlocked 2 whole packs in the Sorcerer Kickstarter, which is awesome. So everyone that backs a Kickstarter will get at least 2 full booster packs that are Kickstarter exclusive. They're really beautiful. Of course, Tatsu, as I've mentioned before, is my favorite. And she's been completely unlocked as a new character, and she's badass. I like her. I'm definitely going to play as her. And then the other is the Blood Cursed Ship pack. And if you haven't read the update on that, there's an update on the Kickstarter. There's some really cool lore in there about some background on the Blood Cursed Ship in the form of diary entries of one of the sailors that was on that ship.
Yeah, we also have a little teaser on the mechanics for the Blood Cursed Ship in there as well, so you get an idea of basically the lore behind it and what it'll be like to play.
Yeah, players were asking for more lore, so we're trying to get that up in a timely fashion as things are unlocked. So that was that. For Epic, the Epic digital app, for anyone who plays that or for people who haven't played it yet, we did a major update this week. It came out yesterday, and it has some pretty awesome functionality. I played it. I participated in the play testing, and I am not an expert Epic player. I don't have the history of being a pro Magic player like some of the other people on our team, but I did. I played. One of the things we did as part of our play testing was we did a tournament amongst the team. So I got to compete against. I got paired up with CJ and Rob in different matches, and it was pretty funny because CJ said he could hear me downstairs in his office screaming when he was like slaughtering me here. But the good news is that the new features were really good. They do think that one of the big ones that I really like and that people really wanted was an undo feature. So when you're in the Epic Card Game digital app and you do something, as long as a card hasn't been drawn or information hasn't been given to your opponent, you can click a little undo button in the top left-hand corner. And it's pretty awesome. I use that quite a bit just to even try things out and see what was going to happen. And then I could undo it. There's definitely like some situations. Don't assume you can undo playing any card, because like I played, I think it was Inheritance of the Meek, and it resulted in an immediate card draw. And because of that, I could not undo it because I knew what the card was that was on top of my deck.
Sure.
At that point, maybe my opponent got a card, I don't remember. But so there are some situations where you can't undo for good reason. And then there's also a lot more visual cues. So in terms of with Epic, when you're playing in the round, it's either your turn or your opponent's turn, and then it can be your move or your initiative within that turn. There's multiple indicators now. Like for example, when it's my turn, the battle board is lit up in sunlight. When it's my opponent's turn, it's dark. It says in big letters in bright colors, your turn or enemy's turn. And it's also really obvious like what my next steps are. That was something that I had given a lot of feedback because I, I'm always trying. This happens to me in every game. I like to have player guides. I like to have some guidance on like, okay, what do I do? What are the steps that I'm going to do next? And I think the team's done a really nice job on making a lot of improvements. And also the card zoom is really awesome. So there's a little eyeball, and if you click on that, it can really zoom in. And I really like that too because I'm getting old. So My eyesight, but also like if you want to play on your phone, it's really good. If you want to play on your phone, I don't know if you want to add anything Rob, about
basically, there's a couple
as an
things.
Advanced player.
One, with the backup, the undo, that really lets the game mirror more how we handle Epic in big tournament situations. So basically, in Epic, there's a lot of scenarios where one player has initiative and they are doing things, and the opponent can't do anything about it until they get the initiative. And sometimes in Epic, you'll end up doing something and the result is unexpected. Like, oh, I didn't realize one of their guys was unbreakable and I played this break all, and wait a minute, why do they still have a guy? Like, oh shoot, it was unbreakable. Well, in Epic, your opponent doesn't have any opportunity to do something. So it would be, after your play, or between you saying you're going to play the card and the card actually happening. So it's not like, in some games, if you make a play like that and it does not at all what you thought it would do, well, your opponent could have responded or done something, so you've technically gained information. So there's, it's impossible to back it up. In Epic, your opponent didn't have a chance to do anything. This is your opportunity to do something. You did it. And it had, it has a result. So basically, if the result's unexpected and not what you wanted, there's no harm in backing it up. Okay, put the card back in the hand. You showed your opponent a card, but no big deal. And so we're able to back things up in that way. As long as nobody's drawn a card, nobody's gained new information, your opponent hasn't had a chance to make a play. So in digital now, we have that feature where basically the game doesn't give information to your opponent until you pass to them, or until they would draw a card from an effect or something along those lines. So basically, you make your plays, and if and this is a series of plays where only you have input, if they're not working out how you thought they should, there's, oh wait, there's something wrong, I didn't realize X, Y, or Z, you can just back up, and you can back up through multiple plays, and it's fine. Your opponent doesn't even see what you did. Basically, the game just saves up all your moves that you're making, and then as soon as your opponent would have an opportunity to do something, or they would draw a card or whatever, then it pushes all that information out to your opponent. So basically, you can try out different plays and see what would happen if you're new to the game and you're unsure how various things work. So that's a really really nice feature we're happy about. And I think the overall look and feel of the app is really improving. If you're a veteran player, I think there's a lot of little niceties there for you, but where it really shines, I think, if you're haven't really figured out Epic yet, it's getting easier to understand what's happening in the digital app. And we're going to be cleaning up the tutorial a little bit as well. So if you've tried the Epic digital app but didn't really understand it, we're improving it so that you'll have a better understanding. And if you're a veteran player, we're going to continue to make little improvements like that. And of course, the card sets that are not yet in the game, just like in Star Realms, where we continue to put out card sets, we're going to be continuing to add those things for digital as well.
Yeah, and so once I used the undo feature, and then I went and I was playing Star Realms, I had the same thought that a lot of Star Realms players had after this feature came out: is, why don't we get this feature in Star Realms? So we heard that feedback, and we're chatting about it. There's a lot of things that happen right away in Star Realms, and we're not sure.
Yeah, so basically, that's the big question.
But it is interesting. Yeah. I did do something. I was playing Rob, and I played something in the wrong order, and I was like, oh, I wish there was the undo. So there definitely are like some situations, sure, but we can look at it.
Yeah, but so basically, the digital team has to look at it and see, okay, is the architecture of the software in such a way that we can step things back without blowing up the app, or slowing down play for the players. Like, it being fast is nuts.
I just thought it was funny because whenever we put something new in Epic, it's always automatic. Why don't we have this in Star Realms?
Yeah, well, and that's one of, like, when we working on multiple apps, that's one of the great things is when we come up with a cool improvement for Star Realms, makes its way into Epic, or Epic, it makes its way into Star Realms very frequently, because the programming team is hammering out, okay, how do we handle this various situation, and then we get to get those sort of cross the game benefits.
And then the third thing in the newsletter that we talked about, and I'll pop up a little graphic here, are the Legend Series registration. So, and there's been a couple questions in the comments about this. So we've had a bit of a glitch with the registration. So registrations went live yesterday for Gen Con events, and we decided to do the Star Realms Legend Series as part of Gen Con. What that means is we have to do registration on the Gen Con site. But the issue we're having is the digital team really needs everyone's usernames to be able to properly set up the BattleFi, and we haven't been able to resolve that yet with Gen Con. So I've made some suggestions on how we can do that, and I'm hoping to resolve that this morning. So right now they made the registration invisible just temporarily while we resolve that issue. But it'll most likely be that after you buy your ticket at Gen Con, you'll need to go to a Google form and just enter in your usernames that we have a list of registered usernames. But we're sorting through that. It should be done by, end of day today. I will post on the Star Realms fan created community page and on the Star Realms page when we resolve that. I know some people are eager to register and you didn't get a chance to sneak in there before it got shut down yesterday. And if you did register already, we have no idea what your Star Realms username is. So we'll, be following up with people about that. But we'll figure it out and we'll get it sorted. But the good news is there is a Star Realms Legend Series. If you play in this, it's in the app. And if you win, you become a card in the game, which is awesome. And we also have lots of other prizes like an avatar for everyone that participates and special avatar for top 8, the alt art digital Scouts and Vipers, which is totally cool for people that have been wanting those. So that's really exciting. And if you haven't played Star Realms yet, it's a great way to jump in and get a bunch of games in a short period of time. It's really fun.
Yeah, this is a really great thing that innovation we've had to come up with because of all the conventions being shut down. Basically having the Legend Series online as a big event, and the community chats a lot about it in the Facebook fan page, etc. So it's a nice way to sort of have a big event that anybody can play in anywhere in the world, and also there's still the camaraderie of the in the community. If you jump on the Facebook page, you can talk about the upcoming tournament, talk trash to your friends.
Yeah, and we also have a Discord channel so for our events. So while the event's going on, you can chat with other players in there too. And so when the Star Realms one was discussed, of course, we got the question, is there going to be an Epic one? So actually this says Gen Con on it, but this isn't technically a Gen Con event. So it's timed around Gen Con Online, but because of the same issue of we run the Epic tournaments in the app. So we want our players to be able to register in the app to make it as efficient as possible for you. And that they require everyone to register in the Gen Con system. So we didn't want to add an extra step for everyone. So we decided to run this directly ourselves in the app.
Yeah, it's happening during Gen Con,
yeah.
But it's full. All registration happens within the app.
Yeah, and we chatted about the last one that we did in June was Dark Draft, and we decided to make this one constructed. We're really excited to see the constructed decks that people come up with. Also asked TJ to make suggestions for constructed decks for players that maybe aren't as experienced making constructed decks or aren't sure what to play. So he streams on Mondays and Fridays at 8 p.m. on the Twitch channel. And so he'll be, I think last night he started doing it last night. He's going to be playing some different decks. He's also going to play some of the past decks that from past events, so you can see other competitive decks that other people have played. Yeah,
and we'll put up some links, a blog post with some links to some cool decks that exist out there. So if you like Epic but you're not quite ready for constructed, we'll have some cool decks available for you, so you can try those out. And speaking of functionality that we have in between the games, this type of in-app tournament where you can register within the app and then and the play starts automatically, etc. That's functionality that we are we're working on in Epic, and then we're gonna once we have it, like the way we want it, we'll port that over into Star Realms as well. So Star Realms players, don't worry that those that sort of smoother registration and in-app play is definitely coming.
All right, we have a very important question.
Oh boy!
Yeah. What should be scrapped first? Scouts or Vipers?
That is the eternal question. So there's.
You want to give your opinion first, or should I give my opinion first?
So I'm a terrible wishy-washy person. I always say depends on what's going on in your deck, what state of the game, etc. I mean, definitely scrap those Vipers first.
For me, normally I scrap Vipers first, but then at some point, it depends. Sometimes I just don't have any good scrapping cards. So it might be later in the game I'm scrapping something, and then, I might scrap some of my scouts before a Viper. But yeah, I generally would do Vipers first, but I'm always interested to understand why people start with scouts at the beginning of the game. I think that's the case when people say scrap scouts first. So I'd like to better understand that. But, I follow Darwin's advice. He's a game designer. He tells me get trade early in the game. So I like to keep my scouts to have trade. That's my thinking. Any other comments on that, Rob?
Check out the Scout versus Viper videos. Those are awesome.
Oh, yeah. So, there's some awesome videos by Ori.
So by the way, I am going to be talking about some new Sorcerer mechanics. If you're a Sorcerer fan and you've been hanging around for that,
let's get to the Sorcerer stuff. Oh, I want to answer this question.
So we have a question on Hero Realms app. So this is something that we are very interested in, and our team is putting time looking into. Sadly we're not ready to announce any. It's coming on date X, Y, or Z, but it's something that we really want, and the digital team is putting effort into it. So significant patience will be required, but it is something we're really interested in.
Matt says he cleared up the Scout versus Viper years ago. So what is it, Matt? Scouts or Vipers? And thanks for those. I do see people commenting on Twitch and YouTube, so that's great. Looks like this platform's working. Snookling is excited to hear that we might be doing some work on that. Okay, so let me get to the Sorcerer stuff. So I'm going to hand off to Rob. He's going to talk about some awesome Sorcerer stuff.
So Sorcerer Kickstarter going on right now. We've got the Endbringer set, which adds solo and cooperative play to Sorcerer. Super cool, amazing visuals throughout the game. If you haven't had a chance to play the original Sorcerer game, it is really beautiful. Just an amazingly pretty box set. Great gameplay, dice and card mix. So I'm going to be jumping into the weeds a little bit on this, and sort of speaking to people who know who've been following, because this is sort of additional information. But if you're new to Sorcerer, you can go check out the Sorcerer Endbringer Kickstarter. We have a ton of videos on there. There's videos about there's playthrough videos for the base game. There's playthrough video using the new Endbringer solo and cooperative content. So if you're new to Sorcerer, just hop on over to that page after this, and you'll be able to go through. In the video that we have on the page, we have a playthrough video, and in Sorcerer, you create your Sorcerer by taking a character, a lineage, and domain, mixing them together to make your unique Sorcerer for that game. Gives you a different deck, different powers, really mixes up the play experience each time. So really phenomenal replayability. We've captured that with the Endbringers, the bad guys that you're fighting against in the Endbringer set. In Endbringer, to make your opponent, you combine a nemesis, which is an evil demigod, and an aspect. Archetype. Excuse me, getting my words picked up. A nemesis, an archetype, and a scenario. And that creates a specific bad guy that you're playing against in that game. And there are 4 of each in the box set, so there's 64 possible different combinations that you can play against. And the archetype that we showed in the playthrough video was the Death Dealer. So basically tons of race, and there's these mechanics in the play where there's new race spawning all the time. So it's just swarms and swarms of undead that you're battling against. And today I want to talk about one of the other archetypes, the Demiurge. And this one plays very differently from the Death Dealer, so I want to talk about it a little bit. So thematically, if your nemesis has the archetype, the Demiurge, they want to remake creation. So they are looking to wipe out existing life and recreate life from scratch. Unfortunately, their millennia in exile, their skills at creation are a little rusty, and we'll get to that in a little bit, talking about these guys. So hop to the next card. So the minions in the Horde deck. So every one of these archetypes has a completely different set of monsters, a whole Horde deck that they're using. And these lovely creatures.
These guys creep me out. And Rob said that's because it's Sorcerer.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
So these are the newborn. So these are the attempts at creation that that the Demiurge, your nemesis, is doing. So when they're summoning up minions, they're summoning up these guys, and the base cards for these are super vanilla. So basically, they just have stats. They have no special abilities, and of course, there's ones with varying, of varying size. So we got a few examples of the art on these, and they're just pure combat stats. Now, can we back up one to the slide? So basically, when you attack, when the bad guys attack, you flip over the top card of the Nemesis deck, and you reference the color to see what tactic the attacking minion is going to get. And in this case, the tactics revolve around evolving. So I had 2 slides, sorry. So basically,
these ones.
Yeah. So there are these counters, the evolve counters that these minions can get, and so basically they're mutating and evolving, right before your eyes as you're fighting them. What happens when one of them attacks, they might get a tactic that would cause them to gain some number of evolve counters. And all the counters that image in the center over there, that's what the back of the counter looks like. And so you'd grab a random counter and then flip it over to the face side, and it'll have one of those 6 icons. And that will go onto your avatar. And there is, of course, a reference card that tells you what those icons do. Each one of those icons that get on there will give a different mechanic to that minion, making them more powerful, giving them special abilities. So, for example, if the minion has tentacles when they attack, one of the players has to discard a card. With the fangs, they deal damage and heal. So there's a whole bunch of different mechanics that they can get as they go. And so as they're evolving, as they're getting these counters, the minions are getting more powerful, more deadly. but sometimes they can devolve. So basically, if they get a second copy of the same counter, so if they had fangs and then they get a second fangs, then basically they lose that ability. Both copies of fangs go. So basically, these mutations are unstable. They're constantly sort of shifting form as you're fighting them. So super cool flavor and mechanic, these sort of mutating beasts that you're fighting while you're playing. We are going to be doing a playthrough later this week, showing off this new archetype in play, and we'll do a live stream of it, and people can ask questions in the comments, etc., while we're playing. And I'll also we'll have a write up on the Kickstarter with a description of this much, so you'll be able to, if you're a backer of the thing, you'll be able to check that out as well. But we'll have a playthrough video. It won't be super professional, edited like the ones the Quackalope guys did. That's on our Kickstarter page. But it'll be a live stream, and you'll be able to ask questions.
We have to set expectations. We're trying to figure out how to do a lot.
We may be a little technically challenged on.
I wanted to do it today, and I was like, no, I'm not. We have to test it out. So you may see a couple go lives on.
But we have have mock-ups of the various the various cards and stuff that we're going to be that we'll be using on the playthrough, and you can see the little the little counters. You flip it over and you see which things. This one's like the tentacles, or you flip this one over and we got fangs. So yeah, we've got we'll be doing that. So we'll probably do a 2-player for that one, so people can get an idea for the cooperative play. The other playthrough video we have is solo play on there, and the solo play is super fun, really challenging. Feels like you're playing against a live opponent while you're playing with all the interesting the little mechanics in the game that cause different things to happen. So this next playthrough, we'll use the same nemesis, so it'll still be Khan, but you'll be able to see how do things change when we switch out one of these decks and have a new one. We'll also be playing a new scenario in that one. So we'll be changing out 2 of the 3 aspects, 2 of the 3 parts of the nemesis. So you'll be able to get a feel for how that switches up.
And we'll post on the Kickstarter page as well. So
yeah, we'll let you know when that's coming through an update on the Kickstarter.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have another question. Will you guys ever release a Harem's digital app?
We're working on that. Yeah.
The question was asked a little bit earlier.
Sure,
Rob said that we're looking at it, where our team's doing some work on it. We haven't announced any dates or anything at this time. So it looks like we don't have any other questions. So thank you everyone for joining.
Yeah, and
that was everything we wanted to cover.
And if you haven't already, check out that Sorcerer Endbringer Kickstarter page. There's tons and tons of cool information and videos on there to learn more about the game.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.